Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tangle Time Arts. My name is Nana Heron, and I'm a certified Zentangle teacher. And we are starting our second set, our second mosaic, for a fragment of your imagination for that challenge. Um, and so this is actually our fifth tile. If you haven't already downloaded the handout, you can still do so. And the information's in the description. And a big shout out to Seven Forest Five Rivers Studio. They did a lot of work putting this together, and it's been a fun challenge, especially in the winter months here. All right, so for days, our fifth tile features days 17, 18, 19, and 20. And for day 17, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4 for the square fragment. And what's cool about the handout, of course, is if you click on that, it will take you to a step out, or sometimes it's like a photograph, but it has the step out on it. Day 18, we have circles, which is kind of hard to say, but it's a fun one. That's by Zentangle, and that's in our circle fragment. For our triangle, we have Raku, which is a sweet little flower. And then for our seed fragment, we have Judd, which is also flower-like. But for some reason, it kind of reminds me of a little bit of a sea creature. So let's get started. And in your packet, if you want to practice, they also include this sheet that has the square, triangle, circle, and seed fragments on it, and it's really handy for practicing. So you might want to grab that. What you'll need for this particular project is a black pen, a number 2 pencil, and a tortillon. And then you'll need your pre-strung number 5 tile, which looks like this. And if you're wondering where these came from, that's from our first video in the series, the preparing the mosaic tiles. And for practice, instead of using the sheet, I'm using the little Bijou tile. And I also have a nickel for drawing our little circle. All right, let's get started. I'm going to put this to the side for just a couple of minutes here. And I am going to take my black pen, and I have a sweet little Bijou tile. And I'm just going to draw a line to cut that in half. And go from the top to the bottom. And also from the left to the right. There. And we're going to need a square fragment. So I'm going to finish that off there. And I'm also going to make this a square, but then we're just going to divide it in half for our triangle fragments. I'm going to draw in a seed shape here. And then up in this corner, I'm going to use the nickel to draw our circle. If you don't have quite enough space, you can use a dime. It is a bit of a tight fit. Okay, that's pretty good. Put that aside so I don't lose it. All right, so our first tangle for the square shape is 1, 2, 3, and 4 by Deanna Gibson, CZT. And the easiest way to picture this one actually is if you have a pencil, you can you could lightly draw in an X in there with your pencil. And then this one's really simple. You just take your pen and not all the way to the corner and not all the way to the center, but you draw a line. That's one, two, then we've got 3 and 4 in here. So we've got 2 lines and then basically a little triangle in there. And I'm just going to rotate it and keep doing the same thing. I'm going to do that all the way around. And I'm right back to where we started. And what's cool about this is if you're using a different shape of fragment, you can fit these in really nicely. So that's basically it. It's very, very simple with the straight lines. So we're going to set that aside for a little bit. And we're going to take our pre-strung tile. And for the first, I'll just do it for the first 2. I'm just going to pencil in that X just to help you visualize drawing it. But if you don't need it, you don't have to put that in. And we're going to do the same thing. There are 2 lines. And then we come down here with our little triangle. And I'm just going to rotate and do the same thing. And the lines are not touching at the center. They're all separate. I'm going to do the same thing in the next one. And this one goes pretty quickly. So we have this side finished. And then we're just going to do the same thing over here. So I'm going to do it without drawing the pencil line in there. So it's just a line and then a second line. And then we have our little triangle in there. And then we just have one square left. So you'll have something that looks like that. So it's kind of nice with all the straight lines and the triangles in there. And you can leave it like that, or I think I would like to add, I would like to actually ink in the little triangles. So I'm gonna take a moment to do that. If you don't want them inked in, you don't have to. And I'm also going to ink in the ones on the right here. All right, so I have those inked in. So you can take a look at yours and decide if you want to do that or not. But I like it inked in. I think it just adds some drama to it. All right, so now for day 18, we have in our circle fragment, we have circles. It's kind of hard to say actually, but it's one of the originals from Zentangle, and it combines curvy lines and orbs. So you can do your curvy lines in any direction that you'd want, but they kind of all go together. So put one in. Yours might be a little curvier or a little straighter. And then we're just going to add some more in there. And then from here, we're just going to put in orbs. And then we're going to start inking in, and this one has a lot of drama. So pick one of these wavy areas, columns, and ink that in, but go around the part of the orb that is in that area. So we have one of those inked in all the way down. We're going to skip this one and then ink in the next one. If you have a black pen that's a little wider than the one I'm using, that would be handy right now. If not, it's just going to take a little longer to ink it in with a thinner tip. All right, so we have 2 inked in. We have 1, 2, 3 that are still white. So in these areas where it's white, but we have the orb coming into it, we are inking in that part of the orb. So in the white column, we are inking in these parts of the orb that come into it. So over here we have this white area, and this orb goes into it, so we ink that in. And that's basically it. All right, so let's take our tile, and the circle's a little bigger than our practice one. So let's see, I am going to do something a little curvier. I'm going to come in on this side like that. And then I'm going to just kind of picture some orbs in here. And they can be different sizes. They don't all have to be the same size. And you can put in as many as you'd like. But it is kind of a small space. And then you're just gonna pick one to start inking in. So I'm gonna start over here. Take your time and enjoy the process. Right, that was my first one. Then I'm going to leave this one white and come over here to this one. Yeah, I just want to mention I had a question in my last video if we're filling in a fragment with a tangle that you really that tangle doesn't resonate with you, and the question was, could they substitute something else? Yes, you can. I very much I try to follow the handout. And sometimes the variations work well within these small spaces, and sometimes, well, I do the best I can. But if you'd prefer to use something different, I really don't see an issue with substituting a tangle. I just really would like you to have a completed project that you're happy with. All right, so we're gonna skip the next one, leave that one white, and then fill in this one over here. Okay. And then in those areas that are like the white stripes, right? Where we have the orbs coming in, we're going to ink those in. And let's see, we have this here. And then we have this area. All right, and that's it for circles. It is a little bit of a tongue twister to pronounce it. Okay, so back to our Bijou tile, and we are going to look at our triangle shapes. And we have Raku by Midori Furuhashi CZT. And these are just sweet little flower shapes. Um, and it, and you can pick either triangle to start with. And I'm going to rotate it this way. Um, and I'm going to put in a little orb roughly in the center there. And then I have a little line pointing to each corner. Not very long, but a little less than halfway to the corner. And then starting halfway between the two lines, just pick a point there. And we're going to do petal shapes. I'm just going to rotate around. So we're just doing a petal shape, kind of aiming again halfway between the two lines. And it does help if you rotate. And if you want, you could put little orbs in these areas, like in here. But I'm not a real big fan of that, so I'm just gonna ink it in. But if you want to put an orb here and an orb here, you absolutely can. But I'm just keeping it very simple with this flower shape. Like it kind of reminds me of the little forget-me-nots. All right, let's do another one. A little orb in there, and then a line pointing towards each corner. And then starting kind of halfway between two lines, you're going to go over to the other side about halfway between. It's just a curve. And yeah, again, you're going to aim about halfway between. If you want to get fancy, I guess you could add a little bit of a bump in there and come back around. It's just a little bit of a variation. So you can decide which one you like. Do you want to add a little variation to it or just go with the original? And again, I'm just going to ink this in. So it's just a sweet little flower shape. All right. Now we will go to our official tile here and we'll do the same thing. You can start in either one um, and just put your little orb and then your lines. And then our little curves. Like that. I'm going to go ahead and do this side and then I'll do the inking for both at the same time. And I'm taking a look one last time to decide if I want to add any extra little orbs in there, but it's such a small space that I just don't think I have room for that actually. So I'm gonna skip that option. And you can ink these in any order that you like. It kind of rotate around and go from there. All right. So all we have left are our seed shapes, and we have 6 of those. So back to our little practice one here. And day 20 is Judd by Beatrice Aronas, CZT. So this one's a little interesting. It is going to be a little bit of a tight fit, but that's okay. We can do it. So we're starting not at the top point, but a little bit down from that. And we're doing a curve that goes into an orb, kind of like the number 6. And then we have just like a slight S shape there for that. I'm going to rotate a little bit. And then I do a little bit of a curve up from the previous one and then down into the orb. So they're like petals, actually. And then I like to add a little bit of detail to this, kind of like what I do with flux. I add a line and a couple of dots to these little petals. And then if you'd like, you can add a little bit of ink to the circle area. And that is Judd by Beatrice Aronis. And I think for my purposes, I'm actually going to ink this part in. Just because this tile has quite a lot of drama to it. And I feel adding this gives this particular fragment a little more drama. All right, so that's our practice one. Back to our pre-strung one. Now these shapes, seed shapes, are a little small. So we're not going to be able to maybe fit in as many petals, but that's okay. So starting a little off from the top, we're going to go into our curve, into the orb. So it just looks like a number 6. Add our little curve there. And then down from that, a little curve. See how many I can fit in. Not, well, I got 1, 2, 3 in there. That's okay. I'm going to go ahead and add a little ink to the orb. And then my detail here. And then ink this in. Like that. So that's, I think, our most detailed one for this tile is our seed shape here. So just take it slowly because it's a lot of detail for a small space. And when I'm embellishing here, if you want to embellish in a different way, you go right ahead. I'd love to hear what different way you decided to do it. A lot of the times when I give you an option for embellishment, that's just one way. You can run with it and do your own thing for sure. Okay, so we have 2 in there. Got one more on this side. And I don't know what happened, but my seed shape is a little wonky for this one, but I'll just do the best I can. All right. All right, so I have 3 on this side done. So now we can decide on this side if we're going to keep continuing in the same direction. We definitely we could, or we can try to mirror that. So let's try to mirror that. So before, when we were doing our 6, now we're going to do like a backward 6. So a little off from the top. We're going to go the reverse way, so a curve and up into an orb. And then we'll do our little curve in there, come down and do a curve, and curve down into our orb. And just repeat. And this one's going to go by itself. Then we can come in and add some ink there. And then our embellishment. So it's just going in the opposite direction now. I'm just going to ink this in. I have to think a little bit more when I do it, do kind of the reflection, because I get used to doing it one way. And then I definitely have to think about how to have it go the other way. Hmm. Add a little ink in here. And then add my embellishment. And then ink this in. And we just have one more. And this one's a really tiny one for me. So we'll see what I can fit in there. I think that's about it. It's a very small space. That was definitely the most challenging one for me. All right, we have all of our fragments filled in, and we can do a little bit of shading now. So for our square fragment, the 1, 2, 3, and 4, I don't think we need a lot of shading. I'm just going to add a little to the center here. I really don't think it actually needs that much. You might want to put some around the edges, and we might do that later when we finish our mosaics. But for right now, we'll just do that. Let's see. For the circle, I think I'll just put a little bit of graphite around the edge where there's no ink. Otherwise, again, I don't think it needs a lot. Okay, and then we have Raku. Maybe just a little bit at the bottom of the petals. Again, not a lot. And then Judd, oh, how about we just add some shading along this outside edge. And then a little bit under each petal. So this one gets a little more shading than the others, but I feel this in this tile, the seed fragment was maybe the most challenging. Okay, so same over here. Graphite on that outer edge there. And also under each petal. All right, now we can use our tortillon. Oh, we should also do our little bijou. Don't want to forget that. So put some graphite in there and then go around my circle. And then a little bit for these petals. And then I've got this outside edge. And underneath each petal. Now we can take our tortillon and kind of blend that out. Circle here. And then our little flowers. So really not a lot of shading and blending with these. So that's how our Bijou tile looks. And then we will just do the same for our tile number 5. So starting with our square fragments there, we've got that blended out. And then with our circle, just around the edge there. Super simple. Our little flowers. Again, not a lot. The most is going to be with our seed fragment. Which is kind of interesting because it's the smallest fragment. And that's it. I really like this tile. This was a fun one. Sometimes it all comes together and every single one of them just goes so well together. Other times, not as much, but once we put it all together, it just looks really awesome. All right, so this is tile 5. So we're gonna fill out our back here. I've got my 5 on that tile from when we made our when we strung our mosaics. So I am just going to put my name on it, and I'm going to need a new pen too. Look at that. And let's see. And this is the Fragment of Your Imagination challenge. And let's see, I'm trying to think. I don't have my other tiles with me actually, so I hope I'm getting everything on here. So we had 17, which was 1, 2, 3. It's a capital N. 4, and that's by Deanna Gibson, and that was our square. 18 was circles. Let's see, STRIRCLES. It's really a tongue twister, and it's a challenge to spell too. So it's STRIR, circles, and that's by Zentangle. 19 is Raku, and that was our triangle. And 20 is Judd. So Raku was by Midori Furuhashi, and Judd is by Beatrice Aronas. And that's our seed shape. All right, I think I have all the information on there for that one. And for our Bijou, I just put oh yeah, that's what we want to put on here. 2025. So this is days 17 through 20. That's all I can kind of fit on my Bijou. All right, so we've got our tile number 5 and then our Bijou all filled out. I'm trying to think like which is my favorite for this tile. I am fond of the circles, even though I have trouble saying it. But I like every single one of these. It's really cute. All right, play around with it. Tell me how it goes. If there's one of these tangles that really doesn't align with you, feel free to make a substitution. And I'd be interested to know what you chose. All right, I will see you in a few days for tile number 6. And so we're just moving right along here, and I'm still working on how we're going to finish our mosaics. So I've made a photocopy of tiles 1 through 4, and I'm working with that. And so I'm excited for that. I've got some great ideas, but still kind of keeping it simple. So looking forward to all those things, and I have my Tangle of the Week coming up too. All right, have a great weekend, and I'll see you soon. Take care and stay safe, and I love you guys. Bye.